Way to make a living. Crypto is on the rise, making that dough in the crypto paradigm. Watching it grow, buying low, selling high. Riding the wave, I'm here to stay, living in the digital age. No banks, no fees, just decentralized. It's crypto paradise. Ooh. No banks, no fees.
Alrighty, good morning from Paradise Surf family. My name is Crypto Amaru. We have the whole surf crew in the house. It is Wednesday, October 22nd, and the market is looking shitty. KDA has exit scammed. Binance is manipulating the markets. ETH is moving hundreds of millions of dollars, preparing to dump. Oh no! I know the headlines are bearish, folks, but don't worry, we are still long-term bullish as always, but we will cover all those stories and more. Of course, last night my feed populated with this KDA exit scam. One reminder, the big takeaway for me, we'll get into the story in more detail, big takeaway is that even the big caps, even the mid caps, have just as much risk as the low ones, guys, and not as much upside. A great reminder of that. So unfortunately, it looks like that project is done, gone, and maybe there'll be some legal repercussions. We'll have to see how that all plays out. But we got some other stories. Binance, Ethereum Foundation. The market was pumping yesterday when Christopher Waller from the Fed was talking about how the Fed is going to be integrated with blockchain and they embrace the industry and kumbaya, and then bam, I wake up back to where we started. So. What's your guys' take on the recent news and the recent price action?
I was going to let Nate go, but he looks like he's in a
tired.
daze. He wants to go to sleep over there.
He's just tired. We're all tired, bro. This is the hardest. This is the most tiring bull market I've ever been a part of.
Yeah, we'll pull up. Go ahead.
Nothing terribly shocking. We talked last night that we could see a continued bounce from here, and we kind of did. We were all talking that, right around that 15K range. Well, it wicked up last night. Bitcoin wicked up to what, 114 plus. So, I guess technically that target was hit there. I don't know. I think we're still ranging. I think the bottom of the range is going to be around 100K somewhere. But we need some more time. We've got some of the big events coming up here in the next few days or weeks that we've talked about on the last couple shows that need to happen. So yeah, just boring day today, I think, in terms of crypto news and crypto markets. So more sitting on your hands, just what everybody loves.
Yeah, nothing much going on. Obviously, we were right around these levels. I think we were a little lower during our live show yesterday. The Fed talks went off and we wicked up. Everybody got excited. We got rejected right at the moving averages, and we do look like we might get a bearish cross. If this yellow line goes through this red line from above, that is the shorter term MA going through the longer term MA. That is a bearish divergence there. You don't really want to see that, but we're sitting here at 108, and from the bearish perspective, you could say this is 5 waves down. So 1, 2, 3, 4. It didn't get higher than here, so it's still validated, and a 5th wave means you would retest this 103 or potentially go lower than it. And that would definitely spook some people out and say, see, the cycle is over. 125 was the top. But again, we keep saying, even if you believe in the traditional 4-year cycle, you're going to have bullish momentum, new highs by the end of this year. And we're of the case that you see an elongating into 2026 due to QE, which means that this is all just chop before the actual massive move higher, probably towards $200,000, $250,000 Bitcoin. Ethereum's chart looks a little different. It was looking a little better, but again, we talked yesterday, this triangle has a 66% chance of going down. You need to get above these previous highs and hold it. We couldn't do it. You wicked up there like $50 higher and came immediately right back down. So you're still in this bearish triangle. This measured move would probably put you lower than this 3,500. You'd probably find support around $3,400. I'm not rooting for that. I'm just saying probability-wise, you needed that to have some follow-through, and it just couldn't do it. Ethereum couldn't even get to the above moving average. You did already have the bearish cross back here, and usually this is a lagging indicator, so we'd like to see this round back up and figure itself out. But 66% chance as this goes lower, and it just looks more and more like that bearish formation after yesterday's giving up that strength. Now, can Trump bail us out? Can Bitmine bail us out? Can Sharplink Gaming bail us out? Sure, it could, but go ahead, Nate.
No, I was gonna say I love you had the fact you have to mention like this isn't my bias. This is what the charts show. Like when people are doing TA, I always love when I'm watching a live stream or reading the comments. They're like, "Fuck you! Why are you bearish?" Blah blah blah. It's like these are statistics. I'm reading statistically that this this chart statistically has a 60%, 66% chance to go this way. This whatever indicator is indicating this. It's not my bias. It's not our bias. So like people need to understand when looking at TA. It's statistics. It's meant to remove your emotion and your own personal thoughts. So, please hold the comments on any of that when we're reading statistics telling us how we're wrong and bearish or this or that or the other. These aren't opinions. This is math.
Exactly. I mean, my bias is that ETH is going much higher.
Bearish math.
Right.
It was bullish math, goddammit.
Right.
I'm sick of this bearish math. Oh, yeah. But look, yeah, Nate's point is absolutely correct. In the short term, I mean, these charts, the chart analysis that Nick gives, is usually reflective of short-term price movements. Longer term, I think it's safe to say all of us are bullish on this asset class, Bitcoin, Ethereum, the majors, and a lot of the altcoins we like. But short term, yeah, probability, statistics, math. If you're trading, these are the things you need to look out for and remove those biases of yours. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, obviously my bias is, hey, ETH's going to be a lot higher. That's why I own a ton of Bitmine and SBET and Ethereum and altcoins. But for now, the chart doesn't look great. We tried to get that movement because I said, hey, we need to get above 4,100. We wicked above it and just couldn't close. So we got close yesterday on that Fed meeting. Didn't quite get done. Thank you, Trump, for your tariff talk or whatever caused the dip. But there is still a lot of catalysts coming into the end of October and early November. And we're still bullish for the end of this year and into 2026 as well.
Yeah, so let's talk about what could be moving the charts up and down. Obviously, we had the very dovish or bullish, you could say, meeting or conference held by the Fed yesterday around digital payments and how they're going to integrate blockchain technology and they're bracing the industry. We saw a big run when that happened. That was great. I'm now seeing a lot of stories pop up on my feed, and maybe Nick, when you guys can pull it up, around could this recent crash be, or correction, let's call it, from 114 to 108, be the result of Binance manipulation, right? Could this be Binance, the exchange, selling their assets to manipulate the price down and let their cronies buy in cheaper, let the nation states, the Kazakhstan they're talking to, buy in cheaper? Or is this just users on the exchange selling? That was the sort of question I always have in my mind when I see these posts. It's like, how do you differentiate? How do you know this is Binance's money versus the users who might just think, oh, bull run's over, the 4-year cycle's still a thing and bull run's done, and or I'm a whale and I'm looking to offload 100 mil because I'm sitting on billions in profits. How do we know Binance is selling?
Yeah, we got this chart up here, obviously poking fun at it. No real facts on, that they are the ones actually selling. It very well could be users on the exchange selling. Here's actually this is the one I was looking for here. This guy.
We see that a lot
showing
in
actual orders
too.
in the book here. So not, don't know who it is. It could be Binance itself, could be users on there, some whales. But that's what happens when, there's all this talk and evidence that, they were the ones that caused this big $19 billion liquidations a week or 2 weeks ago. So when something else happens, it's really easy to point the finger back at them again and get people to believe it.
Yeah, we see this a lot in traditional markets too. All the time, my newsfeed is BlackRock selling Bitcoin, BlackRock's buying Bitcoin. That isn't BlackRock, guys. They are the third party that manages all the AUM for these spot ETFs, meaning it's individuals like me and you. It's individuals like your grandparents, the financial small family firms that are buying and selling Bitcoin, Ethereum spot ETFs. It's not BlackRock. BlackRock is just holding the funds and the IOU for those investments. So I hate when I see that. I guess maybe that's just clickbaity, or they're just trying to summate the inflows or exflows from the spot itself. But, they really, to the untrained eye, really just push it as BlackRock selling, BlackRock's buying, don't let them buy your Bitcoin. It's like, those are hundreds and thousands of individual family offices and individuals that are participating in those spot ETFs, not BlackRock itself.
Yeah, the crazy thing is I see what I thought were sophisticated, intelligent investors and experienced crypto veterans pushing that narrative. BlackRock sold today. I'm like, don't you got you're 5 years in the industry. You're full-time crypto. You should know the basic facts. And the basic facts are BlackRock may have a small bag of Bitcoin themselves, sure, but it's for the most part these ETFs are the individual investors that are just using the BlackRock platform to buy Bitcoin spot ETF or the ETH spot ETF. So that is the absolute fact. Now, as it relates to Binance, my assumption is it's probably a little bit all of the above, right? It's probably retail investors spooked. They don't love the direction of the market. They're looking at charts just like Nick does, and they're thinking, okay, we got further weakness ahead, and so I'm selling out my Bitcoin now. Going to wait to buy back in later. It's probably a combination of whales, guys who bought in 10 years ago. They're sitting on hundreds of mils. They're also selling because if you've made life-changing money for your family and generations to come, you're going to sell. And then third, there probably is Binance manipulation because that's also a thing that happens. So it's probably all the above. For me, I sort of, like to get through the noise, ignore the noise, think long term, remember your plan. Our plan, reminder, was always to sell towards the end of the year, not in October, right? And so let's see where we are in December, right? And then now, look, could be early 26 that the market's running. So bottom line is this: if you're a long-term spot holder, just ignore the noise. But yes, this market is manipulated. But yes, the market's also full of jeets and whales that also contribute to price go down.
Yeah, different, completely different cycle, completely different narrative, completely different everything happening. It's not, if you're following the playbook that you followed for the last 2 cycles, 3 cycles, whatever it is that you've been in, you're probably getting your ass kicked right now. So you got to be adaptive, got to be able to move and change with how the market changes. I mean, memes, no one's seen memes like this before, sucking up hundreds of billions of dollars in volume, all the liquidity out of the markets, pre-sales gone. It's completely different. So understand people's frustration, but at the same time, if what's the definition of insanity is trying the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Markets change, the cycles changed. You got to change with it. So, be flexible, be agile, be adaptable, and got to keep your finger on the pulse, because when things do start to move, whatever that new narrative is, whatever that new medium is, whether it's a new form of token launching, a new way for venture capital to get involved, who knows? But whenever it does move, it's going to move fast and it's going to move hard. And if you're not tuned into crypto paradise, keeping your finger on the pulse, you're going to miss out on it and be chasing the next trend.
Talk about moving fast and moving hard. Aster absolutely getting crushed. This is what we kind of told you guys to avoid up here. Everything above $2, I said $2 isn't going to hold. We had targets down to like 112, and it has just continued lower. We have not bought this. Hopefully you guys avoided this as well. But what I will say is this could be 5 waves down, 1 down, 2 up, 3 down, 4 up, and 5 waves completed. You do have a bullish divergence where price went lower while RSI held higher. So you could see a bounce here. That could be it for Aster. 95-cent print is pretty wild. But again, if Ethereum is going down and Bitcoin goes down, not to say that those will, but the probabilities say they could go lower, it's going to be really hard for an altcoin to fight that trend. But I just wanted to show this Aster chart because we've avoided this, but potentially a 5 waves confirmed, bullish divergence here on price, and you could see a bounce back into the 115 to 125 range for Aster. So if you're a trader or if you're caught holding a bag, I wouldn't panic sell here. I would see if this bullish divergence can play out. Where you have downside risk is like 90 cents, but upside maybe back into $1.25 and recoup some of your losses.
Have they completed the airdrop or even started the airdrop
I believe the airdrop has been completed, and that's probably why you saw such a big sell-off over the past few days. Okay. But again, I didn't really participate in that, so if anybody participated in actual Aster airdrop farming, if you want to confirm that. But I know the airdrop was supposed to be like 14th to the 20th, and now we're sitting here on the 22nd. So I would assume that's already done. Based on the pricing, I would assume it's done as well, but we shall see.
Well, at least someone's made money off that recently. Shout out to you airdrop farmers. Good work. Another reminder that mid caps also have a lot of risk, guys. So maybe that's a good segue over to our lead story around KDA blockchain. If you guys have been living under a rock or you're not on crypto Twitter as often as we are, this was the big news from yesterday. KDA, what was once a $28 billion blockchain listed on Binance, incubated by Binance Labs, has, after a number of years of existence, decided to close up shop. That's it. They're done. They're gone. Kind of hard to believe that they've run out of money. Seems very poor financial management if that is the case. Or perhaps it's just a good old-fashioned exit scam and the founders ran off with the funds, leaving you guys holding the bag. So I never touched it. I do not like mid caps. I think mid caps have the same risk profile as the low caps. But people seemingly continue to invest in them at their own risk and peril. So this is a great reminder. Mid caps still got plenty of risk, guys, and Cadena, prime example.
Yeah, and I don't know much about it, but it ran up to like $28 billion total FTV. It's sitting at $24 million now, but it was still like $100 million FTV just before this exit scam. And pretty wild. Like you said, they still have plenty of runway on token distributions. It's weird that they would just say, nope, decentralized chain, you guys are on your own. But I guess that they just ran out of money or just want to quit working on it. Kind of ironic timing. I guess they think the market cycle's over as well. You know, you think if you're going to exit scam, you just take your money, fire a bunch of people, and just let it run its course over the next however many years until all these tokens come to fruition. But wild, invested in by Binance Lab, was once a $28 billion project, and now it's heading towards zero.
Insane, man. Yeah, I mean, what happened to the classic slow rug?
I guess they've been
doing
that the past 3 years.
Too, right?
Yeah.
True.
This was just the culmination of the slow rug. Look, we don't know the facts. Who knows? Maybe they gave it their absolute best efforts and just ran out of money, and there was no one left to pay. And I don't know all the facts, but the crazy thing is, they were allegedly at one of the conferences, big conferences that had just taken place in Asia, claiming, and they had a booth, and they're claiming they want to give grants out, and they're trying to continue to build the chain, and then like a week later, we've run out of money and we're ceasing operations. So that feels quite scammy. That feels quite scammy. Who knows really ultimately behind the scenes, but I just, man.
Something tells me this mid caps story that we'll be hearing about in the near future.
People think these mid caps are, sophisticated companies similar to what you'd see on the S&P 500, right? A lot of times it's just like 10 dudes, in their mom's basement trying to stitch together, a quote blockchain and trying to make it rich in crypto, and they have no idea how to run a business, and they're doing shady things behind the scenes, and the risks are just as big as, in my opinion, on these mid caps than on the small caps. Right, where it's a similar story, small team trying to make it work, whatever. So invest your own risk in these things, guys. I stay away from the mid caps. You guys know me. My holdings are Bitcoin, Ethereum, and our high conviction small caps that have still a lot of risk, but also you can do 100x if one does well. So and I think Cadena had no chance of 100x. So long story short, stay away from a lot of these mid caps. They're just as risky as the small.
I think the crazy stuff on this is I heard that at the top, when they were worth billions of dollars, their TVL was still in the millions, which is pretty wild. And even as of recently, their TVL was sub $1 million. Pretty crazy, considering like the Surf TVL, which is like a 500K market cap on an unknown pulse chain. Its TVL right now is like 200 or 300,000 by itself. It's crazy that something that's backed by Binance and had 28 billion valuation, its TVLs was in the millions. But I guess that shows you that hype over substance at times, if your timing is good, can get you massive valuations. You would have wished that project could have took that massive valuation, capitalized, got some cash, some runway to actually do something. But this is another prime example of why you don't need a million layer ones. If the layer one doesn't have a differentiating factor, a good leader, or good connections, well, here you go. 10 dudes in a basement couldn't get anything done, and they're giving up right before alt season hits. What's funny to me is I guarantee with this project being dead, it's going to trend towards zero. They said they're done. That if alt season hits in the next 3, 6, 8 months, that the price of KDA will be higher then than it is today.
Roan's upset. We're talking shit about guys living in their mom's basement. I apologize, Roan. Nothing against anyone. I don't care where you live. Mom's basements, dad's attics. Just be a good person. Just try to be a good person. Don't screw people over. That's the most important thing. I think, Nick made an excellent point there on this Cadena story. We do not need 1,000 layer ones. Good Lord. Most look, guys, crypto, there isn't a lot of use case for crypto right now. We don't need 100 layer ones. We need like 5 decent ones. We need the super secure Ethereum, tried and true, very little downtime. We need the fast, cheap Solana. We need BNB because CZ's pumping it up. That's also fast and cheap EVM chain, and maybe like a 2 layer 2s on Ethereum. Why we need 100 layer ones? Why? The main use case for crypto is speculation. Okay, Hyperliquid proved that. Meme season proved that. What do we need 100 chains for? 1,000 different dApps, 1,000 different bridges. Like, no one's using this stuff. They're just out there on Hyperliquid and speculating on memes, or just hodling and waiting for better times if they're not, hyper degenerate gamblers. That's my cynic's take on this industry. We do not need 1,000 blockchains. If you're investing in a random layer one, good luck to you. Good luck to you. It's very, very hard for those to succeed over the long haul because there just isn't really a lot of use case for a random layer one.
Well, that's been the case for a while. I mean, we were saying that at the end of last cycle. And
that's when all these spawned.
Yeah. So I don't know where they keep getting the money. I don't know who keeps funding all these projects. But we'll see, I guess. Like I said,
we spoke with a random layer one yesterday that they're looking to launch and all that, and they're struggling to raise, actually. So I think the market is sort of realizing that, man, it's tough out there as a layer one. You got to have a really strong differentiating factor, a really specific use case, already have some genuine traction, not just, we paid a bunch of airdrop farmers to use the chain for a week, and so now we have 10,000 people using it, and then the airdrop goes away and it's done. So it's tough out there. You need to have some real genuine use case and dApps that people want to use, right? Like, what are the most successful products of the past year? Polymarket, Hyperliquid. By the way, both facilitate rampant speculation. That's the point of those products. Those 2 successful dApps in the past couple of years are those.
I think it's less about layer 1s or layer 2s and more about, hey, we need some utility projects and dApp projects that actually drive revenue that can be used for token buybacks, LP ads, whatever. That's what we've been saying. That's what's been doing pretty well. That's part of why Aster did so well. People were like, holy cow, look at these volumes, and revenue is going to go towards buybacks and burns, and now their buys and burns aren't offsetting the airdrops they're giving out. So they're massively inflation. The market's looking a little weak, and that's why price is dropping. So you need these dApps, you need these utility plays. Memes are saturated. Layer 1s and layer 2s are saturated. So do we get that fundamental season back, Nate? Do we ever get that hodl on utility season, look to the future, change the world, blockchain technology, where we saw a lot of small caps and mid caps be the real winners because they have that baked in utility to the token?
Yeah, absolutely, we do. We're just in a weird transition phase right now. We just went from essentially retail being illegal in the West to now in the U.S. it's highly encouraged, and institutions are dumping in. I just think right now we're still in a weird transition phase. We're still super early. People get impatient. I think partly because of the nature of crypto being so easy to access for everyone. Like when the internet was up and coming, the internet started, depends where you want to pinpoint the internet starting, but it took 30 years before we got Facebook and cell phones and really made the internet mainstream and, Web 2 and what we use today for e-commerce and trading and everything else, and real utility and a useful tool for us. Bitcoin's been around less than 15 years. We're just starting to get to the point where we have the institutions coming in and building out the tools to where we can get real mass adoption, real actual usefulness outside of trading and speculation. So I think it's still early. People just need to be patient. When the internet came along, we hadn't seen anything like it before. You weren't able to act. The average individual wasn't able to go and invest in it and speculate on it. And we had no kind of framework for reference of what this could be. Well, we call this Web 3, right? We've seen a lot of this stuff before. It's not the same, but it rhymes, right? So people have preconceived expectations of what they want from this industry. We have access through DeFi to speculate. Anybody can go in and buy into pre-sales and become a VC themselves, right? So it's a completely different environment from the internet. And because of that, I think the pressure and the preconceived notions or past references we have with the Web 2 and the internet, that it's making people less patient, and they want Web 3 done now. They want DeFi ready now, and these things take time. There's regulatory issues which we've seen across America. Now Europe is clamping down on the regulatory side of things. There's tech issues. There's money issues. There's growing pains. Like this market has a lot of maturing to do, and it's gonna take time. We're talking about technology that is and will continue to fundamentally change most aspects of our lives, how we interact with finances, how we interact with the internet, how we interact with each other. So like, just gonna be patient, right? Like it's gonna, buy Bitcoin, buy Ethereum, buy these big caps, and in 10 years you're not gonna regret it, right? In the meantime, if you have the patience, if you have the capital and the time to get in here and speculate on some of these higher risk, higher reward opportunities, more power to you. That's why we're here. But it's gonna take time. Gonna be patient. We're gonna go through these weird transitionary phases, like we're going through right now. It's just part of the game.
Can't disagree with you there. We are early. Patience, patience, patience. Our first, middle, and last names. A lot of growing pains in this industry. I think we are early days. I did a whole spiel the other day on Wall Street now laying the plumbing and the architecture to help bring in, regular Joes, let's call it, 401k, pensioners, into being passive crypto investors like they do through their 401ks, right? So, you see the Fed sort of opening up their arms and embracing crypto and talking about perhaps integrating payments with what the Fed does, integrating blockchain. So, yeah, we're early days. It's tough if you're in the trenches, though. It's tough because we all want this industry to succeed. We want to get rich quick, too. That's a big part of it. I also, do sort of blame the end participants, at least to some degree. Like, you can't just blame the Cadenas of the world. If there wasn't the degens trying to get rich quick, well, then there would be no Cadena, because there would be no market to sell your random fake layer 1 shitcoin. So, no one's blameless. I think everyone needs to take a look in the mirror. But on the positive side, crypto has built a lot of useful tools, improved a lot of people's lives. To me, the biggest innovation in crypto, if you just take a step back, is democratizing finance, allowing people from around the world, whether you have $1 or $100 million, to invest in the financial markets, which was not actually possible before crypto, because you couldn't get an account with Fidelity if you live in Nigeria.
Very true.
Absolutely. I think really, in all reality, what people are upset about is price not go up how they want it to.
Of course. That's what it always is.
For the most part, outside of that, great story here. Fidelity, crypto and Bitcoin are becoming central in their conversation with clients. How many stories have we covered in the last year about amazing adoption that we would have been begging for the last few years? Regulatory hurdles being overcome, stable coins becoming mainstream, countries adopting Bitcoin, making it a part of their national economy. Like, we're seeing all of the stuff happen. We're seeing advancements be made where the tooling for the underlying infrastructure, things like what Chainlink is doing, integrating with Visa and MasterCard and the U.S. government, stable coins through, whether that's through Tether, Ethereum, what have you. Like, the technology is moving forward. I think the lack of us seeing the cool, big thinking, forward thinking projects that are going to change the world. That's really that the pre-sales aren't here. We haven't had the ability to go in and speculate on these cool new techs and these projects, which, to be fair, 99% of have failed and did nothing. So that, were they going to ever change the world? Probably not. Maybe 1 out of 1,000, 1 out of 100. But yeah, we need to figure out some of the issues that we've had with the venture model, with a number of different things. We still got plenty of problems, but when we do get these issues sorted out, there'll be a market for that again. We'll have these new ideas coming to the forefront, getting funded. We'll have opportunities for the surf DAO to get invested in them, whether that's through a traditional pre-sale model or through some new model that we don't even know yet. Maybe it'll be an OTC thing. Maybe it'll be some kind of new fair launch thing. Maybe it'll be revenue sharing. Who knows? But the one thing we do know is that people are not going to stop innovating. People are not going to stop speculating, and people are not going to stop looking for new ways to fundraise.
Well, and the best marketing is green candles. We saw that with gold as the lines were out the door when it went to the top of $4,400. Now gold back to 4,000 pretty rapidly. The lines have dwindled, but what I want to show you is in 2020 when gold peaked out at $2,000 and then started down and to the right, this was exactly the low for Bitcoin. Bitcoin ran from like $10,000 up to $69,000 as gold went down and to the right until March of 2021. So just to let you know that. Then if we come back in and zoom in here, just this past year when gold peaked out in April and ran sideways to lower until August, well, gold went from 70,000 to new all-time highs at 125. This was the all-time high of Bitcoin when gold started breaking out, and now we're seeing a potential another top in gold here. We gave you the rotation video at 4,400. If gold wants to keep meandering down, like we've been saying, hey, 39 to 4,000, well, it's already there. So now gold could go down to $3,600. We'll see what happens. You want gold to keep going lower to sideways, and if history repeats itself, the timing looks good for Bitcoin to catch a bid as that rotation could happen once again.
Yeah, and yesterday, the story, Bitcoin, that big red candle there, not Bitcoin, gold, that big red candle right there, that's the largest drop in a single day for gold in 12 years, I believe it said.
Yeah, that was like the entire market cap of Bitcoin being quote erased from the market cap of gold, like 1.6 trillion dollars or something like that. So we are early, guys. We are early, and I'm glad you brought up this historical chart of gold vis-a-vis Bitcoin. It also kind of reminds me, I just looked at the calendar. Look, this time last year, October 22nd, Trump was not even president, right? We weren't sure what was going to happen there. Bitcoin, I think, was like $60,000. Maybe 70,000 on the speculation that Trump may win, right? But certainly well below where we are now. So if you take this long-term view of things, Bitcoin does go up 30%, I think, on average every year, if not more. So look, I know we're upset now, price languishing, Binance FUD, projects exit scamming, whatever you want to call it. But zoom out, imagine where we're going to be in a year from now. My guess is Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the majors, and some of your favorite low-cap gems are all much higher.
Yeah, I mean, it was just last year in like September and August that Germany was selling all their Bitcoin for $50,000. Solana was $9, and everybody thought it was over. And then shortly after that, obviously, the numbers were looking good for Trump, was working into the 60s. And then when he got elected, we went from 65,000 up to the high of 125,000. And he's only been in power for, what, 10 months now? So we'll see what happens as we continue to move forward. QE is underway. The new Fed chair is coming in May. More interest rate cuts coming at the end of this month. Trade deals will be sorted, and prices will resolve to the upside in the coming months for sure.
Yeah, it's a great point.
Argue with that.
That's a great point, ladies and gentlemen. We got a rate cut coming in 7 days, a mere 7 days. If you guys have held on this long, if you guys believe in this asset class, if you think we're destined to go higher given enough time, well, surely you can wait another 7 days before the next big catalyst, which may be priced in the market. Let's call a spade, but there's a part of me believes that it's not priced in, because it certainly doesn't look like it from the chart.
We didn't really talk about it. There was a lot of FUD that was saying, oh my gosh, the Ethereum Foundation moved all their Ethereum to a wallet that has sold in the past. Are they about to dump all their ETH? Number one, that wouldn't make sense because they would have been dumping $600 million worth of ETH. It was all their ETH. And if it was a hack, it wouldn't have been sent to one of the wallets they controlled to sell ETH. So both those theories are just absolutely retarded. Secondly, this was a planned maintenance move from an Ethereum Foundation to a new wallet, a new multi-sig wallet for whatever reason. Security purposes, maybe new multi-sig signers. We don't know. So it was scheduled. We have Richard Hart here saying if you don't buy and hold ETH, you are not Ethereum aligned. It's really that simple. Vitalik Buterin. And this kind of goes to my theory that Richard Hart was moving and tornado cashing all this ETH because he saw, hey, Ethereum's doing pretty good. If it gets above 5,000, I'm going to start selling this ETH and full porting into Pulse Chain. And now we have another setback with the FUD around the Ethereum Foundation. We had Vitalik Buterin make a post yesterday that he donated something like $20 million to another charity and said, I didn't sell my ETH to donate. It's like, okay, dude. It's like, Jesus Christ, everywhere you look, Vitalik isn't owning enough ETH, is selling ETH, the foundation's moving ETH, all the FUD storms. It's just like, every time ETH has a green candle, they create FUD for themselves, whether they're selling or not. And again, this tweet goes to the theory that He's looking to sell his ETH, but he wants to see over $5,000 ETH. And every time we get green candles, we get a setback. That slows things down.
Well, let's talk about that allegation that the Ethereum Foundation moved Ethereum in order to sell it. I don't actually know that's true. They may have moved it. I believe this is the case just for sort of wallet security purposes. They moved it to a new address. I don't think they are looking to sell. Maybe a little bit, who knows? But not. We're not talking about a massive bag being sold. They just decided to stake and use ETH within a DeFi protocol. I forgot the name. We covered that story last week. So I don't think they're looking to sell. I think it was sort of planned wallet maintenance and security, sort of OPSEC considerations, as you might say. So I'm not too worried about that FUD. I had not heard about the Vitalik story selling 20 million or donating $20 million worth of ETH. I mean, my take on that is, again, we're still early days. There's a lot of ETH whales. It's like your favorite meme, guys. You need to get the early, whales out before the price can run. And so it's no different, in a lot of these big caps, even in Bitcoin, right? You got guys who bought $10,000 worth of Bitcoin for $100 a pop, and now they're sitting on 5 billion or 10 billion and looking offloaded. So we're going through these growing pains, early days. Vitalik has a lot of ETH. He's going to have to get rid of it. No different than the regular financial markets too, by the way. Jeff Bezos, he still owns 10% of Amazon. He keeps selling that shit too, and that'll affect the market. So this is the world we live in. Early guys, if they're early and on something big, they get rich, and the rest of us have to sort of deal with it as they sell off.
Yeah, I don't think they're selling. Hopefully, it was scheduled maintenance. That's what it was. But hopefully, they're staking it, locking it up, earn some yield, so the foundation doesn't have to sell in the future. We shall see.
Yeah, I mean, they should hold, but at some point they're going to sell, because everyone who buys now at some point is going to sell. Even like Bitmine is going to sell at some point, right? They're going to sell at some point. These are this is how it works in the financial markets. You hope they hold on. You hope they don't create FUD during periods of weakness. You hope they sell into uptrends when there's a lot of volume and hype and retail's pouring in here their 401ks or whatever. But sometimes they don't do that. Sometimes they decide to sell the bottom when everyone's bearish and contributing to the FUD. So look, guys, this shit ain't easy. Shit ain't easy. It reminds me of the meme, like, everyone outside of crypto is like, oh, he some guy got rich in crypto. Oh, he's so lucky. Meanwhile, the luck, you look at the guy, the luck, he's like working his ass off, 18-hour days in front of the computer. The luck, it ain't luck, guys. It's hard work if you want to survive in these crypto markets over the long haul.
What you got, Nate? You look tired. You look exhausted.
Ain't got too much else.
Go.
I mean, like you said, slow news day going on today. Not a whole lot of exciting stuff. Most everything we've seen is bearish news. But,
Meanwhile, price is trying to hold. So we shall see.
Oh yeah, price is going to be fine, guys. It's all going to be fine. We also had some FUD, more Donald Trump FUD. I saw a funny video yesterday. Trading in 2025, and it's a guy, he's like, I just bought into crypto. And then there's like an image of Trump like, all right, tariffs are on. He's like, no, selling now. And then like, oh, tariffs are off. Tariffs on, tariffs off. So, we've been dealing with that story for a lot of the year. I think at some point the markets just have to sort of start ignoring it, which I thought was the case. And then, of course, the China fears rear their ugly heads, because I guess that was more meaningful for the markets with these rare earth.
Well, it's not even the
deals,
markets. It's interesting that it matters to the crypto so much. NASDAQ is at all-time highs, guys. So you can't say the markets care, because the markets don't care. NASDAQ today is down. Yesterday was at an all-time high. Today is down 0.2%. So traditional markets not giving a shit. And for some reason, crypto bros want to make $5,000 wicks, 5% candles all over the place. Doesn't make too much sense to me, but, the elongating cycle, Bitcoin being on a lag to gold makes sense. Quantitative easing coming, which helps Bitcoin and scarce assets. And hopefully that continues to all play out. But the traditional markets don't give a shit. NASDAQ was literally at all-time highs yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, it's a reminder that our industry is still very infantile, still young, immature. There is a lot of retail, unsophisticated investors who I do think overreact to the day-to-day news instead of keeping their eye on the long-term trends. That's just, we're always hammering, keep our eye on the long term. Let's look back what happened last year. Let's think what's going to be in a year from now. Hold Bitcoin for 10 years, do nothing, dollar cost average every month, and you'll end up rich. But a lot of people, I guess, aren't watching the show, and they're just reacting. Oh my God, FUD, scared. Oh, sell. Oh wait, no, bullish, buy. Yesterday's a prime example. Fed says something positive for an hour, right? Christopher Waller, one of the Fed governors, he's going to replace Powell, by the way, says some bullish stuff for 30 minutes, and everyone's hitting the buy button. Today, Trump says something about tariffs. Oh no, sell. Like, come on, guys. Is this how you live your life? Is this really how you live your life? Like, reacting to every single news in such a dramatic fashion? Good Lord. Good Lord. Get a grip, folks. Hodl on for a few months, few years, few decades, and you'll find yourself in a much better position than if you G'd out every time Trump mentions the word tariff.
There's not much other news. We'll just keep watching the chart on Ethereum, see if that triangle breaks down or breaks up. And, Bitcoin needs to hold to these levels. Otherwise, it could have the fifth wave down below 103. But again, Bitcoin is lagging traditional markets. Traditional markets near all-time highs. Gold, just hit what I thought was going to be a short-term top as well. So let's see if the rotation goes underway. Let's see if we can play catch-up. And people forget how fast momentum and morale can shift in crypto. We said this when Bitcoin was like at 80 and it went to new all-time highs. So the same thing applies. If you get some green candle, we saw yesterday Bitcoin's 2% green candle, how excited and how much energy the timeline has. If Bitcoin actually has follow through and gets new highs, Ethereum breaks above 5,000, the momentum and morale really increases. And the timing couldn't be better. It just needs to happen before the holiday season so all of us can be bragging to friends and family and get them to full port their entire 401k into crypto as well.
I'll be bragging no matter what. Because even if we are in these trenches and we're suffering, and Cadena's exit scamming, and Binance is manipulating us, and Trump is causing the markets to seesaw up and down, well, I'll tell you what, being in crypto is still better than being a desk jockey working 9 to 9. By the way, I heard now Silicon Valley wants people to work from 9 to 9, 6 days a week.
That's wild.
Count me out. Count me out. Don't want to be a desk jockey making some oligarch in Silicon Valley rich slave away. Granted, those people do make good salaries, but that's no way to live your life. So get in these markets. I know it's tough. I know it takes discipline. I know it takes long-term vision, long-term time horizon. It takes conviction. It takes actually believing in this stuff. That's another problem. I think a lot of people in this industry, they don't actually believe in Bitcoin and believe in the promise of blockchain and crypto, and they're just short-term speculators. They don't actually care about the underlying assets, and so they're very quick to sell when there's a sign of weakness. What do you guys say to this notion, this theory that I just thought of? So obviously there's a lot of people in the industry, probably about 50%, believe that the 4 years halving cycle is still intact, and that therefore, given what transpired in the last cycles, X amount of days until, from the top to the bottom, etc., that we would have topped out on Bitcoin in mid-October, and then therefore those folks, a lot of people probably, all selling now because they thought the top was in. And could that be contributing to the weakness that we're seeing in Bitcoin and crypto?
Yeah, I mean, sure, there's people, Bollinger Bands and all those guys thought we might have topped in September. Some said we already topped in October, and that last little all-time high was just a Fugazi pump. So, I mean, that's how self-fulfilling prophecies happen. We kind of said that this would happen, as you could see some volatility at what people think is going to be a top, and then they're going to get all left behind after that dip. So, of course, somebody was selling 9 billion ETH or 9 billion worth of Bitcoin when it was like 115,000. Some people think, hey, we're close enough to a top. I've made enough money. I'm going to be selling, and we don't have enough offsetting buyers going on right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's no shortage of people calling tops being bearish. Saw plenty of posts about it today. Capo's been doing it all year, but I mean, they're going to do that. They're going to say if they call the top 20 times in a cycle, and they're going to get it right once. So,
and then they'll pin that one to the top of their Twitter feed.
Yeah, and delete the others.
Yeah. I think there's probably a lot of that going on. I don't know. I feel like, what's your strategy? What's your time horizon? Are you a person who, is looking to sell and then just wait until bottom and buy back in? Okay, yeah, you can do that. But what if you're wrong? What if price skyrockets and we never actually go below 100s, 5,000 or whatever the recent low was on Bitcoin ever again? And you're fully left behind. Do you really want to look your grandkids in the eyes and go, yeah, I could have 10 Bitcoin, which each are worth $5 million now. It's year 2065. But I got greedy. I was looking to buy back lower, and the market left me behind, and I never entered again. Sorry, grandkids. Could have generational wealth for you, but instead you got to slave away. Meanwhile, the robots took all everyone's jobs, so you're fucked. That ain't me, man. That ain't me. I'm holding this Bitcoin for my grandkids' sake, all right?
We've all seen that meme.
What is the? Well, there's a meme about that.
Oh, sure, yeah. The dad sitting on the couch and he's got one kid
yeah.
here and their kid's playing at his feet, and there's a positive one and a negative one. Oh, Dad, how'd you do this? And then like kid's like fucking Chad, and another one's like, Dad, why are we so poor? Because I didn't invest, I didn't hodl my Bitcoin. The kid's like fucking retard. Like,
that's what I'm saying. That's
which
what
one
I'm
do you want to be?
saying. That's what I'm fucking saying. I mean, does anyone really think that this industry is going to die and go to zero? Any viewers watching, I want to hear from you. You think Bitcoin's going to die after BlackRock's gotten involved? Yeah, fucking right. So, I don't know if we're going to be at $50,000 in a year from now because there was a, the 4-year cycle is still a true thing and crash. And okay, so yeah, maybe bearish guys got it right and you buy in at 50 grand and, the greed play worked out for you. But I don't know. I think we're going higher. I'm hodling as ever, hodling my Bitcoins, holding it on for my grandkids' sake, because I believe these markets are going higher in the short, medium, and long term, guys. So just stay convicted. Believe in this asset class. Think about your grandkids, and then you'll maybe not make some stupid decisions like selling your Bitcoin now.
Pretty slow news day, guys. So I know it wasn't the most exciting episode here, but we're just following along in the markets. Wanted to make sure to still get live so you guys could tune in and get the information.
I'm excited. I don't know about y'all. I got myself excited thinking about grandkids. I just feel there's a lot of bearishness in the market right now. We need to provide some positivity for y'all, some positivity. Maybe before we jump off, I know we had discussed yesterday showing some stats on Surf. Maybe we can pull up the Surf dashboard for you guys. I am curious how many Surf tokens burned recently. I know we have about $1,500 or more maybe now sitting in the DAO wallet for the next buyback and liquidity ad. We're looking to do that, I think, with Peacock token, which is the native token or sort of the meme token associated with Liberty Swap. How are we looking? Wow, look at that. Look at that. Last I looked at this, I think we were around 3.2% of total supply burned.
Yeah, 3.52%. So over 3.5 million Surf are gone out of circulation. When prices are cheap like this, it's easier to buy up that supply. And that means when Pulse Chain turns around and price starts moving, that is 3.5 million Surf that could never be sold on the open market ever again. So that is a big number. And we expect that to increase, obviously, when Pulse Chain comes back alive, ETH gets above 5,000, etc. But we have several projects out there in the wild that are also actively burning the Surf token. There's another one that's launching, they're saying like January, that is actually going to airdrop some of its token supply to Surf holders, meaning we might get more Surf buyers that want to airdrop farm that. So that's a pretty cool mechanic because remember, when they buy into Surf, not only does it help price, but it spurs token taxes and burns and passive income. So been pretty cool. And I think the rewards, if that many have been burned, that means, yep, they've given out over almost 5 million Surf in global rewards to holders of the Surf token as well, which is pretty cool.
Hell yeah. By the way, that new project, I don't think it's launching in January. I think
it's 5% of the entire token supplies have been given away, and the token's been live for what, 6 months, 8 months?
So
yeah.
Since May. We launched it in May.
Yeah, 6 months.
5 months.
October. Yeah. Someone do the math.
1% of the total supply gets passed out as rewards every single month. That's pretty good.
To existing holders, right? That's how this whole system works. You got to hold Surf to earn more Surf, just to be clear, right? So what a wonderful system that's been created here. And that new project, by the way, that project looking, do the Surf, airdrop to Surf DAO members. I don't think that's launching in January. I think they're looking to launch in like a couple weeks.
Oh, well, even better then. We'll have to get some information on that for you guys, see what that's all about. And of course, if you own 200,000 Surf or more, you get in the DAO, you can get free trips. If you have 400,000 Surf, you can get Frontier Fund. But now there's even more incentive. Not only do you get all the other existing perks, now there's going to be a project that's launching and airdropping all those DAO members as well. So there's no better time to buy 200,000 Surf. Pulse Chain is down. Price is cheap. You're about to get an airdrop, and every single day tokens are being burned, and your token balance continues to grow.
And here's why it's bullish, guys. This project that approached us and wants to do the airdrop and also tie liquidity to Surf and be fully connected to Surf. We didn't come to them. They came to us because I think they're the market, particularly people with Impulse Chain, realize, hey, these guys are actually kind of legit. Maybe we thought they were a little bit suspect at first with their, talking about going to the beach and this and that, but they showed up every single day for a live stream for like 6 months, minus weekends. Maybe it's time to take these guys seriously and, work with them and be a part of their community and do something for their community, right? Very similar story to happen to PTGC. I'm sure Nick can speak to that, right? I'm sure when it launched, people weren't like, oh, it's the best thing since sliced bread. I want to add LP with it, this and that. But after it's been in the market for a long, it's been successful. People are like, oh, I want to get connected to this project. I want to help out this project because it's legit. It's helping the ecosystem. Same thing with Surf.
Yeah, I mean, that's how the token economics work there for PTGC. People were like, oh, okay, well, it is what it is. But now, the more activity PTGC gets, it burns itself, it rewards its holders. And that's the other thing that Surf does, is it buys blue chip tokens. It's auto-adding to the PLS pool. That's why this PLS pool has grown so much, meaning that if you support Surf, it goes and buys PLS off the open market and adds it to LP. Also, the DAO was voted to add LP with PLS, PLSX, Hex, eHex, Inc., and so many other projects. Means that it has to go and buy those off the open market. So when Surf does well, when PTGC does well, or any of these other projects like this, it is buying the blue chips off the market and helping pump the core bags as well.
Yeah, man. It's all about showing up every day, bringing value to people's lives, bringing value to the chain that the token is listed on. And good things happen, like this project coming to us. We want to do an airdrop for our DAO members. We're actually speaking with the founder in a few hours now. We will get some more details for you guys around, first of all, what the project is. I know the DAO members know what we're talking about. Project's still kind of in stealth, but we'll get a plan to start talking about it here on the live stream. We'll get details around the airdrop, what DAO members can expect in terms of tokens being sent to them through this airdrop, etc. More details about the project and its long-term vision. So yeah, and just keep in mind, this just popped up because the founder likes us and sees we're doing good things for the Pulse Chain community and wants to be a part of what we do at Crypto Paradise.
Yeah, and he knows that we'll support them, we'll market them, and the Surf token holders, if they get an airdrop, they're going to want to support the project as well because they want it to do well. So, everybody wins in this scenario, and Pulse Chain gets yet another injection of capital, yet another dev team, yet another community. That's the biggest thing. It's like, is everything that launches on Pulse Chain going to go to $1 billion market cap? No. Is it going to go straight to 100 million? Well, it can't when the network's not doing well. But with each and every team, every builder, every interaction, they got to inject capital in order to create liquidity pools. That's what people don't understand. You want these projects to launch. You want to root for them because they are injecting capital to go buy the core tokens to add LPs to the DEX. They're generating volume, which buys and burns the PLSX token, and you want them to do well because the better they do, the more core tokens they suck out of the market.
Good point, good point. Before we jump off today, reminder that we have a CPI reading. Despite the government shutdown, they're somehow pushing out a consumer price index inflation reading on Friday. Expect volatility, expect fireworks. My guess is we are going to show inflation that's sort of been consistent with what we've seen. I don't imagine a dramatic increase or a dramatic decrease in the inflation readings from the month prior. But that number is coming out on Friday, and if it is a deviation from the expectations and the sort of last few readings, you'd expect some, either upside or downside depending on that. But, a lot happening. Stay out of these leverage markets too, guys. There's just way too much volatility in my view anyway, to feel comfortable entering longs or shorts right now with big leverage. It just seems like a recipe for getting liquidated and wiped out. We saw what happened a few weeks ago with a lot of people. So stay long, stay convicted, stay spot. That's my recommendation.
Looks like we got a call. We're late for, boys.
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
We got a call? Fucking hell.
Ian 5 times. Well, before we get off here.
I had no idea. All right, folks. Well, appreciate everyone's time today. We'll be back tomorrow with another live stream. And until then, we will see y'all on the beach.
Peace.
Later.